This is Couvo, and you're watching Beyond the Static.
Got my boy Josh here from Couvo. Well, that's his
Hey,
name. Haven't chatted with this man in a while. It's been a hot minute, but I'm so glad to catch up with you. Uh why don't you tell the world about yourself, where you're from, where you're going, how you got
yeah,
started, all that.
yeah, happy to. So my name is Josh. I play under the name Couvo, which is a nickname of mine. My last name's Kavaris. People have been calling me Couvo for a while, so kind of been rolling with it. I'm based out of Brooklyn, New York. Been dropping some songs, working on an album that's coming out very soon. In the meantime, just playing a lot of local shows. Got a show coming up at Union Pool January 12th that I'm really pumped about. So if anybody listening, this is local in Brooklyn, come out. And yeah, that's kind of everything that's going on my end over here.
Nice. I see, dude, you've been playing some like really like internationally. I don't maybe just nationally known or like East Coast, like really well known venues I've been seeing. Like Arlene's Grocery is one that I've been hearing about for like years and years now. What's that like getting your foot into like those like really well known spots?
Yeah, it feels really lucky. I've been playing music in New York for a really long time. I've been basically here since 2015, and it feels like now I'm finally playing like the actual kind of legit venues here. It sort of feels great. It feels absolutely great to like play on a stage with a great band. I absolutely love my band. I played for a very long time solo until really after the pandemic was when I really kind of started to get a band going. So it feels first of all just great to have a great band that I get to play with that are super tight and just really know their shit. And it's just easy to play with them. That's such a joy to be able to like just go to this group of musicians that just kind of get it and are really just like on the same page as you. Now to be able to take that band to one of these stages like Arlene's Grocery, where there's actually like a pretty legit sound and people know it and people come out to it. I mean, like it's kind of better than I ever would have expected to get to. And I'm really excited that I made it this far. I'm really excited to take it even farther. Union Pool has been a place I've been trying to play forever. So that's like a really big win to be able to be like, yes, I get to play there on a Friday night, no less. Very, very excited. So it's all been great.
Dude, that's so sick. Yeah, dude, I was gonna ask you about that because I'm listening to the I was listening to the new singles and yeah, I heard the full band. I'm like, wait a minute. When I like last time I saw you were in a solo acoustic in a coffee shop, and now now we got a full band thing going. I was wondering if that was just for the record or if that's like a legit like all the time deal.
It's an all the time deal now. If there's an out of town gig that I can get to, I'll still maybe do that solo unless it's close enough. Like if it's Philly, I can get my band to Philly now, but if there's a show farther away from New York, I'd probably be playing that solo. But it's really like an all the time thing where I get to play with these great guys. That's what I really do want to get back to Philly. So for anybody who's listening to this who doesn't know how me and Dwayne know each other, I played a show at I think the Pharmacy.
Yeah,
Um, that must have been what was it like 2021 maybe? I don't know when it was.
yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, and I hadn't really didn't really have a band together at that point. Didn't have really most of these songs together either. So yeah, it's definitely changed a lot and I'm excited to, hopefully maybe get back to Philly one day and I can actually, hang out with you in person.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
Um, I've had that struggle though. I've struggled to kind of put together a live band. It looked like it was gonna happen, and then it did happen. Like yeah, it's not an easy task to pull off. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
How'd you get involved with all those guys, by the way?
I was just playing a lot of shows. It just kind of like you just kind of work it out by playing a lot of shows and like slowly you kind of collect people that you know and you can kind of pull it all together and it's changed a lot the lineup just people have moved people have gotten married and like left the city and stuff like that so it's just a lot of hard work and a lot of putting in the time playing shows that people kind of know who you are and are interested in like potentially helping you out with your band. um Shout out to Brian Galligan who was the guitarist in my band for a good amount of time, but he got married and kind of stepped away. But I love that guy.
Congrats, Brian. We're we're here for you at Beyond the Static.
Yeah.
So you mentioned being in New York since 2015. I don't remember this from our previous conversations. Are you not from New York originally?
So I'm originally from Connecticut, from Manchester, Connecticut, right outside of University of Connecticut, which is where I went to school. And then right after college, I was able to kind of finagle my way into New York City, which is honestly a move I never would have expected I would have made. Kind of just had a lucky break here and there and was able to get to Brooklyn, and it's really changed my life so much for the better. It's like scary to think about my life if I had stayed in Connecticut, honestly.
Dude, I feel you on that because I'm not originally from Philly. I'm from New
Yeah.
Jersey, like close by, but like far enough away where it's like the difference in pace and lifestyle is, night and day. And I got still got a bunch of friends from back home that love that like, suburban small town pace. Is just, it's a whole different monster being in a major city and just being able to go and go whenever you want, like, and it definitely offers some advantages as far as um do you find this the music scene is different though? Like, I mean, New York's probably a whole different monster than Philly. I feel like when I was in South Jersey, maybe because there was so few people doing it that the scenes were like kind of like tighter. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Definitely. So like when I was in Connecticut, I mean, I grew up playing music. I like, taught myself how to play music as a kid. And I was able to play with like people in my high school, but there really wasn't a scene. And then I went to college at UConn, and there also just like was not a scene. So like I barely played music in college. I really didn't play music until after I graduated and moved here. I was kind of trying to figure out like I basically went to school to be like a creative writing major. That's kind of what I did. And I kind of thought that would be my thing. But then I realized like it takes so much time to write a short story. It's such little time to write a song. And I had to like work a job. So I was like, this is way easier just to do that. So I was focusing on that. That's kind of how I got involved in the music here. So basically, long story short, there isn't really a music scene in Connecticut when I was there. There really wasn't like anything going on at UConn when it came to music. Going to New York, there's a huge music scene that I think has gotten so much stronger since after COVID. And it's really just filled with a lot of talented people. It's really kind of punk. It really kind of gets like that sort of heavy punk kind of quirky thing. Philly feels a little different, where it's a little bit more like, I guess, just like indie rock than just straight up punk kind of stuff. And I really like the music of Philly. Philly is like my favorite city outside of New York. And a lot of that just because every time I'm in Philly and I go around, like I see all these great bands. Like last time I was in Philly when I met you at that show at the pharmacy, I went down to the Dolphin. I saw Sweet Pill, which I think I saw you shouting them out recently. They were so fucking good. There's just like bands like that that just like really bring it and have really good, well written, like kind of, just good, well written songs with really good pop hooks that I love about Philly.
Yeah, dude. I gotta definitely shout out Sweet Pill. They My homie Sean is in that band. He's a guitar player, and I still have yet to see them live, which is my bad. Like that's on me. Um, I've known Sean since dude, he was so like 13. So dude, damn, it's been like almost the, like over 10 years that I've known that dude because my band when I was in my 20s earlier and his band when they were just starting out, they were in like middle school and like these kids were like me and my bandmates were looking at these dudes like, yeah, these dudes are fucking crazy talented. They're like 13. Like, what the fuck? So I'm not even surprised that he's like on this like rise, like that he's on the trajectory that he's on right now. Like, dude's
Yeah.
ridiculous. And he's a great dude at that too. Like all of those guys. So
I may have met him. I said hello to one of the guitarists or something. I was like, "Do you ever want to play a show in New York?" Not like they really need my help. They're blowing up though. The reason you haven't seen them play is because now they're just playing all over like the country instead of just Philly. But they're
yeah,
so
dude.
good.
I think I saw yesterday on Facebook they're about to head over to the UK and play like a festival over there or some shit.
That's awesome. That's the dream. I love
Yeah,
trying to do stuff like that one day.
absolutely. Um, so it's been so from 2015 till now, it's been like quite a quite a journey. Like I think I don't know how old you are, but like I know that like lately I've been noticing a lot of musicians just like it's not like it used to be where it's like, oh, you're over 25, give up on it. It's like It's like I'm 40 and I'm still like playing music, and it doesn't seem as like taboo as it used to be. Have you like had any thoughts on that or like faced any bit of that?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I'm 30. I feel like for every musician that's out there, they have that's like, trying to write songs and put stuff out there and have success. They have like a list of musicians and the age that they were when they released like their biggest album. Like it's like Bruce Springsteen was like 27 when he released Born to Run or something. Father John Misty, Josh Tillman. I think he was 31 when he released Fear Fun, or maybe that was I Love You, Honey Bear. So it's like you gotta always keep like at least I do this where it's back of my mind. I'm always like keeping track of like where am I at versus kind of the people I really, really strongly admire. Um, I think that it's always been kind of a fallacy that like, oh, after a certain age you stop making music because I think there's always been people that have been like way older than 25 that have come out of nowhere and just released like a great album and kind of launched their career like in their 30s. But I do think it's changing more now than ever where you can start later. I think part of that's just like we kind of all just like stay younger longer than we did in like the 60s and the 70s. Like
Agreed.
your childhood or like your adolescence is now extended even farther and will probably continue to extend farther and farther for every generation. We take longer to grow up than ever before, and I love that.
Dude, I was just talking about that yesterday because like the people that are portrayed like when I grew up in like the 90s and like in the late 80s, the people who are portrayed like my age, and I look at them now and I'm just like, yo, they're so old. Like
Uh,
there's no way they were my age when this happened, when they were filming this. But
it's insane. It's like, was that always the case and we just never noticed, or do we just seem younger now than ever before? I kind of think it's the latter, but I don't know. There's no real way to know, you know?
right. All right, little Arrested Development, never hurt anybody. Tell me about the album. Like I heard the two singles, fucking incredible. Um, did I see a video? Is that correct?
You might have seen some clips. I don't think we have any music videos for anything, but we have some live stuff that's been coming out. No music videos, at least as of yet. So yeah, the album, it's actually some of the songs are still in the process of getting mixed. It's been kind of written for a while. It's going to be called Empty Country. Um, right now the two songs we have out from it are Why Do You Want and this song that I know that you listened to and kind of made you reach out, Better Off, which is one of my favorites on the album. Just kind of a song for like what happens when a year ends and a new year is beginning, and how do you kind of come to terms with where your life is and where you want it to go. And I kind of think that's sort of central to the whole album. It's kind of just looking at like where you are, where people are going, and how do you make sense of either your own frustrated ambitions that exist on a personal level, or kind of your own sort of, um, frustrated ambitions more on a political or global level, where we kind of look at where the world is and how those two things kind of run in parallel or in tandem with one another.
Okay. So where'd the name come from?
Empty Country. There's going to be a song coming out called Empty Country, which will be the title track of the album. And I
Okay.
think that really encapsulates what the whole album is about. Kind of that idea of looking around and seeing things kind of remain stagnant. I often feel like I write a lot of songs about like how it seems like everybody thinks nothing ever changes and how that makes sense. It's really difficult to see things move in a positive direction. It takes a lot of work, and we often kind of miss the tiny little things that do push things into a better direction. Um, so I read a lot about the way that people feel like nothing really can change, but also about the fact that we have this kind of human capability to sort of move things into a better direction, kind of that hope to be able to make things better is sort of the best part of like being a human being.
I think that's such a I love where you're coming from with the like connecting with people through music on a more like I say existential level, I guess, or like a more like philosophical level, uh seems to be have so much more meaning than just like hey, here's another like broken heart love song, or like here's another party song. Like really getting people like to think deep about like what's really going on inside is so important. And I'm noticing like a little bit of it feels like that's more what you're going for.
Yeah, you know, it's like if you don't have something to say, then like, why are you doing this at all? You have to have something to say. I think that's the most important part of all of this. Nothing really matters more than the actual story you're telling. There's actually a Joe Strummer quote that I was checking out the other day, which is something along the lines of him saying, music isn't the point. The point is the story. The point is the message I'm trying to get out there. And that's really what moves people. That's really why I think we all listen to music and connect with music, at least pop music, where you have these lyrics that you're listening to, is because there is this thing that makes you feel either less alone or sort of changes something inside of your mind about how you feel about the world. Now, Better Off, you know, the song I just dropped, it's a stupidly simple song lyrically. It's a stupidly simple song harmonically too. But I think that's the beauty of music that other media or mediums that have language involved in it don't necessarily get to do. Where you can have something that's so stupidly simple, like I have a line that just, it's been a long, long year. And that doesn't really sound that impressive when you just hear it out loud. But when you can hear that in the context of music, you can turn something that feels so stupidly simple into something that is really emotionally resonant. At least that's kind of what happens to me with a lot of pop music. That's why I love it so much.
Bro, I'm not even gonna lie. When I heard that line though, I was like, yes, the fuck it has. Like, yeah, it's so simple, but it's just like, damn right, it's been a long year.
Right? Yeah. And that is something that if you read it in a poem or something, you'd be like, okay, cool, whatever. I don't really give a fuck. But when you hear it in a song, you're like, yes, I get it, and I can feel that.
Right. It's like I thought about like Alkaline Trio. Like they have a like really one of the songs, it's like Mercy Me, I think. It's the same thing. Like it's been a long day living with this, it's been a long time since I felt so sick. I took a long walk straight back home. Like, and I'm just like, yo, I had a playlist labeled like long slow walk because I would just like it would just be one of those lists where I'd have to like these are the songs that I need to listen to and take a slow walk to like just get centered again. You
Yeah.
know,
Do you often put together playlists like that?
I do. Dude, that's I could tell you right now. I have my playlists are fucking um. uh, So I have one called Emo Classics, and the more I'm looking at this playlist, the more I realize that they're just classics to me.
Yeah.
I have one called Get Moving. There's just I have a calming playlist. That's just like, it's the Beths, Juliana Theory, Paulson, Minus the Bear,
Oh
this
yeah.
band called The Reason from Canada.
I
Uh,
haven't thought about Minus the Bear in a very long time, so thank you for that reminder.
yeah, dude, they're one of those bands that like I discovered a while back that I actually enjoy working out listening to Minus the Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listen to such weird music when I'm working out. I also think that every musician out there has the weirdest music listening habits. Like we all listen to music way differently than the average, person who isn't a musician
Right.
listens to music.
Absolutely. I have one called Feelings, like when I'm in my feelings.
Yeah, I have one that's just called Songs to Cry To, which is really nice. It's like Sufjan Stevens, so shit like that.
Right. So the listening to music differently. We were talking, I was having this argument at work the other day. And people were really like they were making all these comments about Taylor Swift being like person of the year. And I'm
Mm,
like, well, first of all, she's been everywhere this year and like she's literally like affected legislation like
yeah,
in the House of Representatives. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty big for a fuck musician. And they were bringing up all these other artists and I was like, well, Taylor Swift plays an instrument, which kind of like for me automatically gives like points over just like a singer. And that really touched some people the wrong way. But it's like as someone who is like who's grown up playing music, all different types of music from like orchestra to like rock and gospel and all this stuff, it's like when you are used to hearing like the little things like instrumentation and dynamics and like these different like emotions that can only come like through instruments. It's like when I listen to music, I'm not just listening to does the beat make me shake my ass and like are they doing a bunch of runs with their voice? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So
Mean, yeah, she's not the world's greatest singer. She's a great singer as far as I'm concerned, but she's a great songwriter, and that's
yeah,
really her power, right? Is that she can write these songs that fill stadiums and kind of gives her the whole platform that she's able to gather, this sort of stature where she can be the person of the year, and I think it's great.
exactly. And like, and I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not gonna sit there like I think and I'm friends with some of them. I think some Swifties are fucking psychotic. But like
Yeah,
I can bop to her music. I'm not even gonna sit here in front and act like, like when that Romeo and Juliet song comes on, like I'm not going right back to 2007, like singing in my car, delivering pizza. Like that's what I was doing. I fucking love that song. And I'm like, I'm not
yeah.
ashamed of it.
Well, it's the same thing I was talking about, the way that pop music can be so stupidly simple, and that's part of its power, you know? If you listen to a song like Trouble or, Shake It Off, the lyrics can seem so stupidly simple. You're like, oh, anybody can think of that, but they really can't. No, nobody can really think of that. They can try to. You can get maybe close, but if you just miss it by even like a centimeter, if you're even off just slightly a little bit, there's it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. Nobody will ever remember anything you're saying. But if you nail it, then it's stuck in somebody's head for the rest of their life.
Right. And like but even a song like Trouble, right? Like that goes right back to what we were saying earlier about like the simple lyric and the long year.
Yeah.
Like everybody, as soon as they heard that lyric, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Everybody has that one girl or that one guy that flashes in their mind that they were like, I know this is a bad idea, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. No,
Like
totally.
it's the simplest things that we connect to. And like I think some bands like try to overcomplicate it, to be honest with you. And some bands just like undercomplicate it. I don't know. It's a fine line to walk for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if I see a whole lot of bands undercomplicating it, at least not kind of locally. I definitely see a lot of bands that, there's a lot of bands, there are people I played with a long time ago that, very much went out of their way to try to make something interesting, but there was no point in making it interesting. It's all going back to you have to have something to say. If you don't have anything to say, then it doesn't really fucking matter. If you got something to say and the interesting choice helps make that point, then it's gonna land. But if you're just doing it to be interesting, there's no fucking point.
Dude, I used to have that argument all the time when like I'd be playing with people and they were like, "All right, let's try this," and I'd ask why they were trying to do it and they wouldn't have an answer. It's like you're just doing it just to do it. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Like if you had an answer for it, like I would like I don't even care like what the answer is, like, you know. But like if there's an answer for why you want to do it, then like fuck it, let's give it a shot. But like doing things just to do them just always seemed like kind of pointless. Like and not just in music, but like in movies,
Yeah.
like in art, and like,
No,
like you
it's so
said,
true.
if it doesn't move the story forward, then like it's just kind of getting in the way at a certain point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And there are some bands that focus on different things. There are some bands where it's really more just about the beat and kind of how do we make that groove hard. You could look at some songs by like, oh, I don't know, some funk songs from like the 70s or 80s, where it's not really that lyrically driven, but it's all about how can we make this groove as hard as possible. And then, what can you do that'll help that, happen in the song. For me, it's always been lyrics. It's always been kind of the main thing in my songs is how do I make it so that way people can really hear these lyrics and really relate to it and resonate with it. And what are the musical choices I can make to help underline that? There are some songs out there that have great lyrics and sound great. But when you listen to it, you don't really focus on the lyrics. You don't really focus on the voice. I think a part of that is just writing the right words, and part of that is also just how do you really support the story and the lyrics with what's going on around it. And a lot of songs have great music, have great lyrics. They don't necessarily tie those two things together.
Right. Yeah, I get that. There's for one, there's a song by Fall Out Boy that comes to mind where it's like It's so simple. The like the beginning, it's like bam, 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 bam. And it's just so simple, but there's just something about it. And then when his voice comes in, like the words like you connect with, but like it's not some like there has to be something else besides just saying the words, just reciting the words, you know? And
Yeah,
yeah, and that's so like
there are just some songs I hear where it's like the words just kind of wash over me. And then there's some
yeah,
songs I hear where I'm like, oh, that line hits so hard. And I'm hearing what he's saying and I'm like there with the story. And I
yeah,
don't know for sure why that happens in some songs and why that doesn't happen in other songs, but I think it's related to this. That's always something I'm trying to like be mindful of when I'm putting together a song.
yeah. So you mentioning putting together songs. You said that it was a lot quicker and easier than writing a story.
Mm.
I have the opposite experience. How like what's your process like that makes it so much quicker and easier for you, or does it just come?
For several years, I gave myself a deadline of just one demo of a song per week. So that really helped. And it was always really easy to like, if I had a deadline, I can, put together two verses and a chorus and call it a day and just let it sit there. Like, okay, I hit my quota. With a short story, I mean, that could be like, that's a lot more hours of work of just actually sitting there and putting together the words. There's a lot less words in songs and there's not a short story. I guess that's why it
That,
goes so much faster.
that makes sense. Yeah. It's just because like in my mind, I don't know why I thought like in my mind, the story is the story, right? And like
Mm.
can write the story out in all the words, but with a song, I have to condense that story down that like so I have to say the most like I have to say the most amount of the plot with the least amount of words. And
Yes.
then it seems like that's what makes it harder is like distilling that long thing down to something smaller.
It's maybe harder to do it well, but if you just want to write a draft and you don't care about if it's good or not yet, you can do that you can write a really bad song quickly if you
That's
just
true.
want to like write a song. And I think a lot of times you just have to kind of get over that hump of being like, okay, I gotta like jump into just this being really sucky for a while. And it's really easy to get to the finish line in a song versus a short story where you really have to make sure like everything kind of makes sense and kind of can go through it all. A song can kind of make zero sense and sort of still be like acknowledged as a cohesive whole song. It might be a horrible song, but it could still be a song.
I mean, that's pretty much Nirvana's career, I guess.
Yeah, so true. And then,
uh,
like, I'm sure it meant a lot to Kurt, everything he was singing. There's some crazy ass shit. He knew how to
yeah,
pop a really crazy line that would just kind of grab you and pull you in, which is kind of going back to what I was saying before about like, you really have to find a way to connect those lyrics to what's happening sonically. And I mean, Nirvana does that so well.
yeah, absolutely. Like I know this is one of my most controversial opinions, but like I don't I don't think that they're bad. Like I sing along to like the hits and everything, but I think that they're a bit overrated, like in a way that like people are like Kurt Cobain's a genius. I'm like his lyrics don't make sense.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Overrated. It's easy to pick a band like Nirvana or something and say they're overrated because it's just so saturated everywhere. Its lyrics don't necessarily make, literal sense, but they do make sense with what's going on sonically. It's more of a poetic sort of sense. It's not necessarily what I'm doing with my songs, but I can respect it. But here, I'll give you my controversial take, and that is that I think the Strokes are kind of overrated. And they're fucking everywhere in New York City. Everybody loves the Strokes so much. I get it. I kind of wasn't around in Manchester, Connecticut when I was growing up. It wasn't like that popular. I was kind of surprised at how popular it was when we got to New York City. But I don't necessarily get it the way everybody else does.
I didn't know that they were like popular like that, to be honest with you. Like I know that people know the Strokes and a lot of people like them, but like yeah, I didn't even know it was like it's like that in New York.
Fucking huge, yeah. They're everybody wants to be like the Strokes, which I mean it makes sense. They're huge and
That's wild.
they have a big cultural footprint in New York City. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool, but I kind of think it's overrated. So that's kind of like saying the same thing that you were saying about Nirvana.
All right. One thing I did want to ask you about. I saw in one of your emails something about a short film.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Great. Yeah, happy to. So me and my friend Charlie Hull, shout out Charlie. I wrote this short film, which is essentially just my last album. The drinks are always free in Purgatory, but instead of it being an album, it's a short film. Same stories from that album, just again as a short film. My friend Charlie Hull, he's a director, so he pulled him in and he, directed the whole thing. And we just pulled together our friends and over the course of about one weekend, we just shot this whole film and it's really fun. It's really funny. It really feels like a crazy fever dream, but it also feels very real and true to what being in Brooklyn feels like, especially as a struggling musician. So I highly recommend that you all go check it out. Dwayne, I don't know if you had a chance to check it out. I can send you a link after this, but it's a highly enjoyable 20-25 minutes experience that I have a feeling you'll all get a lot out of if you sit down and watch it.
Yeah, for sure. Send me a link and I'll link it to the podcast wherever you're watching or listening. Where can people find it if they don't have to, if they're not like able to click on the link or whatever?
Right now, the only place that you can actually watch it, because we're in the middle of submitting it to festivals, is on bandsdobk.com, where Sam over there, Sam Sumter, she did an exclusive premiere of the film. So I can also send you that link to include in the podcast notes so everybody can go check it out.
All right, cool. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
any other parting words that is there anything that you think that the world needs to know about Couvo, your upcoming music, that we didn't get a chance to get to? Uh,
Um, Let me just reiterate that if you're in Brooklyn, I'm playing at Union Pool January 12th, Friday, January 12th. It's going to be a blast. The main thing I'm always trying to do at these shows with my music, and sometimes you'll even hear me say this at shows when I'm on stage, is just, remind all of you of the simple fact that you are alive here and now. And it's a big celebration. It's a big party. We'll have a ton of fun. So come on out.
awesome. Uh, let the people know where they can find you, your links, socials, all that stuff.
Couvo Music on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Couvo Music. Come check it out. And then I am on Spotify as just Couvo, Couvo. As we've talked here, I just released a song called Better Off, which is streaming everywhere. Go give it a listen. Let me know what you think.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and
Yeah,
being on Beyond the Static. It's the homie Couvo. Look forward to the album. So yeah, thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you again at some point.
thank you. Can't wait. Excited to go check this out once it's live and have a good rest of your day.